Kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achayang kamame bhante bhuri panya tathagata kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achayang kamame dhamma sanditika akalika kayena vacha chittena pamadena maya katang achayang kamame sangha supatipanna anuttara sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Tisarana gamanang paripunang panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adina dana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Abrahmacharya veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Sura meraya majapamadatthana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Vikala bhojana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Nacha Gita Wadita Visukadasana Malaganda Vilepana Dharana Mandana Vibhusanatthana Veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Uccasayana Mahasayana Veramani Sikkapadang Samadhiyami. Idang me silang Magapala Jnanasa Pachayo Hotu Appamadena Sampadeta Sa. Come, let us do some guided Maranasati before we start the Dhamma talk. All right. Let us all sit here. Let go of all the vipassana objects. Just keep the mind present, calm and peaceful. Relax the body, all the tiredness, tension, with all let it go. Relax from top of the head, relax the forehead, face and neck. Relax the arms, relax the shoulders, relax the chest, stomach area, spine, back. Relax the buttocks, hips. Relax the thighs, knees, calves, ankles, soles, toes. So relax the whole body. Keep the mind open, calm, and peaceful. My life is uncertain. My life is uncertain. My death is certain. My death is certain. My death is sure to come. When will it come? I do not know. How it will come? I too do not know. And where? I too do not know. And when death comes, it robs everything away. All my gains and fame and name, all my wealth and possessions, truly separated from all my loved ones. So before death comes, let me make the utmost effort to strive to develop the mind, to develop all the wholesomeness, and to abandon all the unwholesomeness. Before death takes everything away. My life is uncertain. My life is uncertain. My death is certain. My death is certain. My death is sure to come. When it will come, I do not know. How or where it will come, I too do not know. When death comes like a thief in the night, and it robs everything away. All my wealth, possessions, name, fame, gains, happiness. Separate me from all my loved ones. Before death comes, let me make the utmost effort. Let me make the utmost effort to strive until we free ourselves from this cycle of birth and rebirth, free from the clutches of death. To develop all the wholesomeness and to abandon all the unwholesomeness. Before death comes and take everything away. All of us here, our lives are uncertain. Our death is certain. How it will come, we do not know. When and where it will come, we too do not know. But it will surely come. When it comes, it takes everything away. It robs everything away. All our gains and fame, name and happiness, possession, wealth. And it truly separates us from all our loved ones. So before death comes, let us all strive. Strive as best as possible with our utmost effort until we see or realize the Nibbana, the enlightenment, to escape from this cycle and birth and rebirth. To escape from the clutches of death. All beings are subjected to death in their own way. As long as beings are in samsara, they will face death. So before death comes, let us all make the utmost effort to strive to develop the mind, to free ourselves from the clutches of death, from the cycle of birth and rebirth. Until the enlightenment is achieved. Before death takes everything away. So my life is uncertain. Death is certain. My life is uncertain. Death is certain. We slowly let go of the contemplation, the reflection. We bring the attention back again to the body. Feel the rise and fall of the abdomen. Feel the sensation of the body. Then slowly we open our eyes. All right. So last week we were talking about the effort, and the week before that too. Effort has many areas that you can arouse it, especially connected to our meditation objects, such as on our slough and torpor, pain, and so on. The balancing of the effort also is another important thing. As much as when we are in the long retreats, then we have to keep the effort in balance, in the optimum level. Not too much, not too little, in order for the noting mind to go smoothly, clearly. Then when that happens, also the thing is that we must have the skills to maintain it, and also the skills to know that the mind is already goes out of balance. Here, when we talk about balancing of faculties or balancing of this effort or concentration, we're not talking about how to walk and sit anymore. That one you know it already. It's not it's about how to do it better, how to do it more precise, how to do it more careful, more tiny details about the walking or about the sitting or about the daily activities. It comes to a more finer details, and we begin to being aware of all the symptoms and effects that is coming in together with too much effort or lacking of effort. So we spoke about those things. We're going to mention these things again, connected to it now. And when we comes into, especially towards the concentration, the sixth enlightenment factor. If you're around now, Some of you already going back. Anyway, let's talk about the next enlightenment factor. Let's talk about the joy. The Pali word is piti, P-I-T-I, piti. Now, sometimes we translate, sometimes when you read the books, it translates as zest, Z-E-S-T. Sometimes translate as rapture. These are better translation. Now, sometimes in the older translation, they use the word the joy as they translate as happiness, which is well, it's not so good because then it's going to be connected with the word sukha. Piti and sukha, they are two different things. Sukha is a pleasant feeling, whereas the joy is a mental state. It's a mental state, which is if you talk about the five aggregates, then joy falls under the fourth aggregate. Whereas sukha, pleasant feelings, it falls under the second aggregate, under the feelings. So they are different, but they are connected. They are different, but they can be connected. As usually, when sukha comes in, when joy comes in, there's also pleasant feelings is there. But pleasant feelings, not necessarily it has to come with joy. Say, take for example, like if you're talking about the jhanas, the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana, in the samatha practice. Then when it comes to the jhana, the absorption, then like in the second jhana, if you're talking from the sutanta aspect, the sutta aspect, then it already removes the vitaka and vichara. Only you have piti, sukha, and ekagata. Piti here, joy. Sukha as pleasant feelings, and ekagata as one-pointedness. That's the second jhana. And you go to the third jhana, then it removes the joy. Then it left with sukha and ekagata. So sukha can arise on its own, but joy usually arises with the feelings. Now, this joy again, if it's connected with the factors of enlightenment, then this joy is a wholesome mental factor. Okay? It becomes wholesome. It becomes a wholesome mental factor because it is connected with mindfulness. Because mindfulness is always something wholesome. It is always wholesome. But joy also can become unwholesome. Therefore, it's not an enlightenment factor anymore. So joy, if like you look at the food is so nice, then what? Sad. You feel so joyful. But that one connected with unwholesome state of mind. Be connected with greed. But the joy is there. Feelings also there. But it's also connected with unwholesome feelings. So therefore, joy can become unwholesome or wholesome. Whereas mindfulness cannot. Mindfulness is always wholesome according to Abhidhamma. Then investigation of Dhamma also is always wholesome. That belongs to the wisdom factor. It cannot be unwholesome. Effort Effort can become wholesome or unwholesome. If you want to kill something, your mind also must be very alert also, isn't it? When you want to lie also, the mind also has to be alert, has to be clear, active and energetic also. One lie after another lie. Yeah. So it can be connected with unwholesomeness. And joy also can be connected with wholesomeness and also unwholesomeness. As much as we're going to talk about, connected to our meditation, vipassana meditation. Uh, Although, as we look at it as a general, joy as an enlightenment factor, when it's use it rightly, then well and good. But sometimes that joy can become a little bit problem also. That too, later part in a day or two, maybe we're also going to address on this thing also. Yeah? So joy, we have to be careful. Now, what is this joy then? What is this piti then? The book says, sometimes you read the books, they use the word endearing. What is endearing? To make something dear to you. Yeah. To make something dear to you. You look at the food, nice food, it's dear to you. You look at the durian, durian is nice to you. If it's your perception, perceive it as you like it, then it's dear to you. Yeah. Then if you look at something that's not pleasant to you, you perceive it as not pleasant to you, then it's going to have a hard time eating it. Yeah. Or listening to it, or seeing it, or smelling it, touching it, and so on. Yeah. So it all depends. So the word is endearing. It makes everything. It makes the thing dear to you. Yeah? Take for example in our meditation. When you know you're rising and falling, not you're rising and falling. Then it starts off with just rise and fall, rise and fall, rise and fall. Then suddenly it goes sideways. Hey, how come like that one? Then you keep on noting it. Oh, you keep on looking at it better. So, in other words, that object right now, it becomes dear to you. In other words, it's a interest. You begin to develop an interest towards that object. All right? And more or less during in our practice, when the joy comes in the optimum level, it comes in as an interest in the object. If there's no interest in the object, doesn't mean that it's not good, but it could be not good also. It depends on which state of mind you are going through. So doesn't mean that all the time when we are noting an object, there must be everything exciting to you. See me? Yeah, we see already, I think. I think it go crazy. Not all the time is exciting to you. Sometimes objects are clear to you, okay? But it doesn't come with interest. It comes with more or less, you can notice it already. Things are changing, things are like moving here and there. You're looking at it, but doesn't mean that the interest is there. No, not all the time. It is predominant in that sense. That time, it's more like mindfulness and equanimity is taking note of the object. Everything is plain now. But there will be times also when you note your object, you note it. Still rise and fall, rise and fall. You look here, look there, see rise and fall. Then come back, rise and fall. Lifting, pushing, dropping, lifting, pushing, dropping. Then what do you feel at the time? You feel bored nah. Xiang, all the thing, all the same, walk up, the same thing, walk back, same thing. Yesterday, same thing. Tomorrow, maybe also going the same thing. Then you feel bored. No. So we're going to discuss on the area of boredom later on. How we can manage this boredom. Especially a lot of us don't make the proper effort, then boredom sets in quite strongly. Usually the beginning. Anyway, we come back to its characteristic first. So it makes things endearing to you. Make things something endearing. Okay. So what do you mean by and what does mean by further about this endearing also? It's also when it's there, when you feel something, you're excited about it, then there's what we call refreshing the mind and body. It refreshes the mind and body. Say, for example, again, it says just now rising, falling, nothing much, and so on. Then suddenly the rising, falling starts to change very significantly. Then the whole mind you get alive again. It gets alive again. The body also gets straightened up a little bit, maybe. In that sense, the body feels slightly more energetic. The mind feels slightly more refreshed. So, in other words, you begin to notice it with more interest on the object. So it calls refreshing the mind and body. But this type of refreshing the mind and body, if one does not be careful with this one, then it can get into a little bit more. Actually become too much. Sometimes, for example, I just give a small example, then we'll discuss a bit about it maybe sometime later. Like, for example, it refreshes the mind and body. You sit down, then something starts to move the body. You feel sometimes normally yogis don't feel the internal movements of the body. Straight away, the physical body starts to move. The physical body starts to move. Then sometimes it begins with a little bit. Then they sit down, then lie down a little bit. The body starts to move left and right. Or some people just front and back. And the more you move, the more song, the more nice, pleasant. Then more keep on moving, and then get more. Then the more you move, the more nicer it becomes. And that time, all your pain, all your tiredness, everything gone. Because it gives you a nice yoga, a nice massage, and a nice pushing and so on. And that time, all your pain and all your tiredness gone. And in fact, you can sit there with a smile in the face, and the more you knock, the more smile. Yeah. Something like that. It gets too much already. So, in other words, that time, all your tiredness, all your tension, everything gone. And the whole body feels nice and fresh and buoyant and light and whatsoever. This one, we also have to address that thing because that one's a bit too much already. So it refreshes the mind and body. So sometimes, even like in the evening, especially if you meditate until like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, the body can be quite tired, right? And sometimes there are certain objects arises and it becomes clear to the yogi. And because it could be the first time you are looking at it, what is happening right there. Then the whole mind becomes alert. All your drowsiness and sleepiness, all tiredness, all gone. And you keep on able to notice it until slowly and slowly, when the joy starts to drop again, then all the tiredness just rolls back in. At that time, you cannot take it anymore. You have to go and rest already. Yeah? So, so, so when joy comes in, when this type of joy comes in, it becomes more prominent. At that time, it actually refreshes the mind and body. The whole mind becomes excited and so on, clear about what is going on. So this is important to understand it, because it's helped to, to make the meditation a little bit more exciting. Yeah. And at times we have to learn to arouse that also. Purposely go and pull it out from our minds and our heart. And we can do that too. We can do that. Now, let's take a look at the first one. Let's take a look at boredom. Boredom. Usually, in the beginning of our practice, if you are a beginner meditation, you begin to meditate. You come into a retreat first time or second time, let's say you come in for 10 days or 2 weeks. The first few days or the first 10 days, sometimes there'll be a lot of boredom. You're not really sleepy, but just boring. There's nothing to do here. No phone, no internet, cannot talk to anyone. Everybody looks so serious. For a first timer, sometimes it's a really shocking. You want to talk to them, but they look at you. Or they don't even want to look at you. And then you keep on with that. You try to walk and sit and so on. And yet, nothing much in the walking, nothing much in the sitting. And then you just carry on, walk up, walk down, and then you find maybe go out, walk in the garden, car park there. But after that, you find, oh, you're too boring now, or maybe too many mosquitoes. Or then you come back again, The flowers or the squirrels also doesn't interest you. All you want to know is that when you want to go back only, how many more days to go back? Because nothing going on. Practice is not going well. The teacher says, you know the practice, you know supposed to know the lifting, pushing, dropping, but you just get so bored with it. Same thing. What else is there to see? What are they looking for? The beginner's mind are thinking, what are they looking for? Going so slow. Then sometimes they will try to look at other people's how they walk, how they lift, how they push, how they drop. How come they walk so slow one? I already walk up and down 2 times. They haven't finished halfway of the path yet. So everything is really boring to you. If you are not this type, you're not into vipassana, then of course the first glance of what vipassana yogis do, it's really a boring thing. Walk and sit, walk and sit, walk and sit, walk and sit. What is there to be walking and sitting? Why don't go and do some dana? Why don't go and do some helping other people? Why don't go and do some, service work for the community or for the center or for the meditation center? At least we gain some merits there. Why sit down only? So with this type of mentality, then the meditation will become very boring to you. There's nothing much if you have that state of mind. The faith, the confidence in the vipassana is still very weak. But the faith to do dana, very strong. The faith to do all kinds of wholesome activity, anything to do with hoo-ha, like organizing Vesak, organizing this, organizing this, they are going to put themselves right at the front. Meditation, I'll think about it. Yeah, a lot of Buddhist devotees are like that. Yeah, and somehow with this type of vipassana meditation, they know that they're going to face a lot of pain here, pain there, lagi jauh. Even further, they will go from meditation. Yeah. So a lot of times, this vipassana meditation is not so interesting to many Buddhist devotees because of the nature of the practice. I mean, we are talking about striving here. We are not talking about just once a week you come to the meditation to the center, and then you have a group meditation, discuss Dhamma a little bit, then Bali. Then the next week you come again, sit together. I'm not saying that is bad, I'm not saying that is bad. That is good, but that is not enough, right? That is not enough. But some people think that it's already enough. There are some Buddhist people that are just thinking this enough. So with this type of things, a lot of things is going on in their mind. Then when it comes into this vipassana meditation, the mind that wants to sustain on the practice, it's very weak. So every time that they meditate, they will think of something else to do rather than keep the mind onto the object. So it gets bored very easily. And yet, if don't have teachers, and they don't have uh, right peers, right friends to encourage them, to push them, to give them a right proper understanding, to let them abandon some wrong understanding, wrong perception, then they will just keep on doing what they are doing. It's so therefore when they come in, when you come into a retreat, make sure the skills of how to walk and how to sit and how to do the activities, these are so crucial. If you do not knowing deep enough, at least on the theoretical aspect of it, if you don't listen to them deep enough, or you don't read about them deep enough, then next time when you come to a retreat, you're going to have a hard time. And one of the biggest problem is the boredom, because you do not know what to do, or you know it just superficially. You see a lot of people when it comes into vipassana meditation, perhaps not just what I thought and so on, but there are people who come into doing walking meditation. They don't do what we are doing over here. They just do walk up and down here. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, up and down. They sit whenever they want to sit. They want to drink coffee during in the middle of walking meditation. They do that. They want to stop there, do something. They do that. Walking meditation is not so important to them. So when they do that, every time they want to not do anything of the walking meditation, then there's nothing much. And then, therefore, when there's nothing much in the walking, there's not much of a development in the walking, then they come into the sitting. Sitting also is not clear. Sitting also, everything is just superficial only. So very fast they get bored. Very fast they get bored because nothing being seen. That's why a lot of times people cannot understand why we have to do hours after hours after hours of sitting, walking, sitting, walking, sitting, walking. The next day again, sitting, walking, sitting, walking, sitting, walking. A lot of people don't understand. Yeah. Because we want to break away from the non-effort, to bring up that effort, so that in between all the boredom also we break through that too. Uh, uh, so that is one big area that yogis have to understand these type of things. But for those who are over here, you have been struggling, then I don't have to, actually I don't have to talk, but this one actually is meant for that, these people inside there. In the Facebook and the YouTube one, I do not know who they are watching, but, but meant for them one actually. Because there are those people who just love to listen only, listen. Ah, 好听，but meditate. Anyway, don't get too offended. So here, but nevertheless, let's say you come in and you strive, and you keep, you know what to do, walk, sit, and you know how to pay attention to it. But there will be times also the boredom will come in. Even sometimes you are in a 1 week retreat or 1 month retreat or even 3 months retreat, somewhere in between, once in a while, boredom will set in also. At that time, we also learn how uh, to push the mind forward and to overcome the boredom. Uh, the boredom is in a way, it's a kind of a sloth and torpor. But the type of sloth and torpor which is not which is not, maybe it's not the sleepiness type, it's just the laziness only. The mind doesn't want to work. It doesn't want to work. It's not sleepy, because you can still go to the garden, do everything and or everything else. Sian lah, you just feel no not energetic, not this one, But it's not that type of sleepiness, drowsiness. This one is because of the mind is just being lazy, and it's a strong, in a way, it's a strong laziness. Uh, uh, so when the boredom comes in, sometimes it feels like when you're noting an object. Objects are not it's kind of like superficial, not very clear. Even in the middle of the retreat, all your mindfulness and everything can drop again. Doesn't mean that it's always at a sustaining level. So it's going to drop. It's going to drop. Then when it's going to drop, and then therefore your objects, it feels like, you used to able to notice the rising and falling very clearly. But then after that, 1 or 2 days later, it's just nothing much. It's there, not to say it's not there, but it's, you look at there, come back also still the same. Look at sitting, touching, come back still the same. Not that it's not there, it's there. You listen to the sound outside there, just to distract your mind from rising and falling. You come back, still like that. You go out, you go and walk a little bit more. You go walk. Try a little bit harder. You come back still the same. Sometimes it's like a barren run. Like during in the retreat. It's like you're going through a desert. A few days ago, it was like exciting. Things are changing. Things are going well. Things are, Then after that, 1 or 2 or 3 days, it goes like, same thing again and again and again, and then it's going on a flat run. Nothing much on a flat run. You're still against here. I'm not. again here, I'm saying that you are still noting something, It's just like it's nothing changing much, nothing exciting, nothing new, nothing this one. Same thing again, repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. Yeah. So you once in a while you can pause. So, so this is one area, where boredom comes in. It can come in during in the middle of retreat. And this thing also, again here, which I'm not too worried because here when the yogis have they've seen progress before. They've seen the progress like in the walking, in the sitting, and then they develop certain level of confidence. So with that level of confidence, then let's say after a week or so, boredom sets in. So when the boredom sets in, I'm not too afraid that they're going to pack their bags to go home, because they know that it's just a phase that they have to pass through. Yeah, it's just a phase that pass through. Things will change, things will pick up again. Yeah. But what I'm afraid is those yogis that first time come for retreat one. Come for retreat, they say boredom only see liao. My heart beep pop already. Interview also much make sure I stay longer. Make sure, because sometimes you do not know what's going on with their mind in the 10-15 minutes. They're not reporting everything to you, Yeah. So I have to learn to catch all their small little signs here and there. Because if their boredom starts not able to overcome, then they'll be start thinking about packing bags, packing bags and then balik lor. Uh, so that can happen. So those who've seen progress in the vipassana one, so once in a while the boredom comes in, too not too concerning. Yeah. So when boredom sets in, what can we do? The objects are going on. If your object is still going on, it's still changing, and still changing, and so on and so forth. This time, all you need to do is be patient at times. But patient doesn't mean that just surrender. Patient means we keep to the hour of walking and sitting again and again. Just right step, left step, lifting, pushing, dropping again and again. Because this boredom will pass. So patience is important. While patient at the same time, just keep doing it. And things becomes active again, things become clear again. So don't give up too much. It's just sometimes you need a lot of patience. This is one thing that you can do. All right, this is one thing that you can do for when it happens. Uh, Now the next thing for a yogi to do when things are getting boring, nothing much. Then here is to change objects. Change objects. Here, take for example, the walking meditation. A lot of times, yogis tend to just use the primary objects. Yeah? Just use the primary object. When they just only use the primary object, that means, take for example, the third phase, lifting, pushing, dropping. Just take noting, lifting, dropping, and then after that, lifting, dropping, dropping. Next leg also lifting, pushing, dropping. Next leg, lifting, pushing, dropping. Then the whole lifting, pushing, dropping, it's become more, it's like this already. So now uh, ask them, still anything to see or not? Nah, nothing. Anything else? The next interview, nothing. Same lah, same. Bhante, you remember or not? My report. How to remember your report? You think you are the only one report to me, is it? Remember your report. No, sometimes that means they're not seeing much of things. They are just only lifting, pushing, dropping. Not to say again here, not to say that they are not paying attention. They are not paying. They are still paying attention, but now one of the things is that either they are not paying attention sharp enough, or it's just like that. So here, if sometimes the walking goes into a barren run, you're still noting, but nothing clear this time. So what you can do is this. Either you go slower a little bit, that means make a little bit more effort, investigate things a little bit more clearer, and sometimes because of that, the mind able to pick up certain objects again, the whole mind becomes interested in the noting again. Even you go slow already, you thought that this is only your only speed, but nevertheless, you try even more slower. Even you able to pick up anything or not. Sometimes you pick up something, the whole mind becomes alert again. The whole bottom just slowly or very fast, you just clear off. Because once you're able to pick up, the mind knows what to look for, what to look for, what to look for, what to look for. So sometimes, for example, some yogis, they touch down. They touch down onto the floor. Like that, only a colon, colony. Then suddenly, if they pay a little bit closer attention, no, the coal is different. The big toe and the small toe type of coal, one is colder, one is less colder. That means they begin to become more precise in their noting a little bit. Then once they pick up those type of objects, then the whole joy, the whole piti starts again. And then the mind gets excited to note on the objects again. Sometimes they notice the heel is different, the front is different, the toes is different, this is different, that is different. Then the whole mind becomes alert again. So this is one way, Either you go a little bit slower and pick up more things to see. All right. It could be in the lifting, it could be in the pushing, or whichever. Or the next one is to change object, completely change the object. Don't stay with the lifting, pushing, dropping, but now stay with the secondary objects. And you have to stay with the secondary objects sometimes for a longer period of time. Even sometimes the secondary object can be in your whole walking meditation also. Just like there are days rising, falling is not clear at all. You are noting other objects like pain, sensation, thinking, this and that. Doesn't go back to rising and falling. So it's perfectly all right because all these things are still give rise to mindfulness. So sometimes also during in the walking, we once in a while, if the bottom is set on quite strongly, we completely change the object, goes up to the upper part of the body. And then here is where it's good that you learn the skills to note the secondary objects of the body. Then say, for example, if you walk, you can still change your speed within the lifting, within the first phase, second phase, third phase. You can still change your speed, but all your attention is on the upper part of the body. You can still change your speed. Take for example, when you change your speed, then take for example, let's say the hips are moving. You feel that the hips are going left and right. So sometimes when you go faster or slower, the movement is different. The movement is different. Or the shoulders, one side can be heavier and one side is lighter. Or sometimes you can feel that your body is a little bit senge, a little bit crooked, a little bit. So when you walk in that sense, don't go and bend it back again. You got to stay like that, and then you learn to feel like that. This is to see things as they are. Now you're seeing the secondary objects because it involves many objects. So here, when you note these types of objects, because it could be new to you. When it's new to you, then you're excited. No? Be new to you because you didn't really pay attention to it before. Then it becomes interesting to you. So it becomes interesting to you, the whole mind becomes excited again. The whole interest onto the noticing onto the object. That means he wants to, after that, he wants to investigate how is that movement takes place. Like for example, how the hips are taking place, or how the shoulder is taking place, or how the one leg is heavier than the other leg. Like now you feel the whole leg itself. One leg is heavier, one leg is so light, one leg is heavy. So you begin to have all this, noticing all this sensation of the body. Then the whole mind becomes brighten up, feeling excited again, feeling feeling you're feeling refreshed again. Then you feel that the whole bottom is just being removed, and then the whole mind become buoyant and light again. Yeah. So this is one way of how we change objects. Yeah. So too, like in the sitting, also the same thing. Now some of us sometimes you don't really do on your sitting and touching. Yeah. And yet sitting and touching is one of the very interesting object, because sitting and touching, you can do it faster or you can do it slower, right? Or you can do it more points or you can do it less points. Sometimes, usually, normally I thought sitting and touching, I say, okay, noticing the touching in the hands here, then noticing the buttock here, right? Then we go back again. This is usually the beginning part. But sometimes, then if rising and falling is not so clear, then discover the sitting and touching. So what can we do with the sitting and touching? Say, for example, again, you notice the hands, perhaps it's predominant, clear. Some people noticing the lips touching also, because the lips also is a touch point. They can feel the touch of the lips. Some people feel the touch of the below the thighs, the thighs that touching the cushion, or the knees that touching the cushion. Also, there's another area. Uh, some people that use the sitting and touching as just like, they feel the shoulders also. Sensation, not in the sense of touch, but sensation. So they try to discover those sort of things. They change completely from the usual objects, a usual sitting and touching object, and they completely change it to another object, other objects. Then it's just to re-excite the mind again, just to pull the mind out again. So there's one way we can do it. One way we can do it. But you got to be careful. If you go too fast, sitting, touching, you run around. After you come out, very agitated, the whole mind. Again, if you do it too slow, again, it doesn't give you much of energy. So you must do it at your own, at the right pace. So how is the right pace? You do it yourself at that moment of time. Just pick out some other objects that you don't normally take note on, and then you try to pay attention to them. Sometimes at the spine area, sometimes for some people, like whole body sitting, they scan it as a sitting object. Sitting, just like when you are doing standing, you're aware of the whole body standing. So sitting is like you're aware of the whole body sitting. So they take note of the few times sitting, 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 sitting. Then another part, pressing, 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 pressing. Another part, pulling, 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 and then sitting, sitting, sitting all over again. Sometimes some people take up to 5 points, 10 points. To me, 10 points and so on. It's really, I my mind already pasikat, entangled. After note this point, should I note that point, or which point which is the third one, or the fourth one? There are teachers who taught me that, you should go and look for 10 points. So I went and tried, but it's not so effective for me. It's not so effective. My personal one is maybe up to 5 points. Okay, already. Just run it around, and then run from around clockwise or anti-clockwise. Um, then at the same time also, when you note the certain objects, then it's good that we must learn to pick up the characteristic of an object. That is to say, when you touch there, what is the characteristics at that point? Is the characteristic hard, soft, warm, cold, pulling? Then take note of it. Just take one or two will do. Then move to the next one. Take one or two will do. If you happen to touch them at the lips here, what is the feeling like? Take note of it. Sometimes you got no words, no vocabulary for you to pay attention to, but all you need to do is just be aware of it, or just not touching. Okay? So when you change again, then sometimes when the mind becomes alert, then certain aspect of the sensation becomes predominant compared to others. Then stay with it, and note that particular object, and see how it change, what is going on. So at that time, the whole mind get out from the whole bottom thing. Yeah. So, but then again, sometimes it can set in again. It's like sometimes like the clouds. You thought that clear already, sunshine already after the rain. Then after that come again, it come again. Then it clear again, come again. So once in a while, it can come in this way. Yeah. So this is one way we try to note something different. So too in the daily activities also, the same thing. Daily activities is even more interesting, actually. Yeah. A lot of times, if we just make an effort to note those things that we don't normally note one, we don't normally pay attention one. Yeah. The Buddha says, be mindful when you are defecating. So sit there, never note before, you go and feel it, I come out already, like. That's how we pay attention. You learn to note all these sensations that we don't normally use to note. And those are actually valid objects. Those are actually valid objects. The Buddha says, when you are urinating, have clear comprehension. That means you pay attention to it precisely. So if you have not done these things before, then sit there and do your business, big or small, whatever. Then pay attention to it thoroughly, what is going on. Yeah. So sometimes if you do laundry again, then again here, pay attention to it mindfully. See what is going on with the hands are moving. Sometimes you don't have to go so slow. You just do, sometimes you only you do just your own speed at that particular time, at your own speed, and then keep the attention there. See what else developed from it. So all you need to do is just push the mind a little bit on. Then sometimes you notice that doing laundry, there's a lot of things to discover. How the hands move, how the hands are touching the water, warm, cold, hard, soft, and so on. At one time, I was doing laundry. As a monk, with this rope, it's a very difficult compared to this one. When this thing get water, you have to because sometimes if you just hang out like that, a bit difficult to dry. So you have to squeeze until your arms has to be strong. Even no washing machine. Then I was doing it. Then suddenly, while I was doing it, and then suddenly I noticed that I was here, but I'm still doing here. I was here.
The noting mind is here, but I'm here. Like it comes out the whole thing. That, but already I know what is going on already. I just let it be. Just learn to feel it. It's feel different, so it's interesting to feel it. So it can be anything. Maybe in defecate that time. Somebody look at you, feel it also. Uh, different types of phenomena. Sometimes it comes up in the mind. Yeah, if you just put a little bit of attention there, and then it becomes interesting. All the things that you normally do, and then it becomes interesting. Just like, for example, again, like eating time. So if we are beginners yogi, let's say we are not familiar with all this eating thing. Eating here is not to go and taste, is this chicken ka or veggie? I crunch the veggie more times. I crunch the chicken. That's not the thing. You know. Uh, all the veggie and all these are all concept. Our job is to pay attention to it and see how they change. Sometimes you begin to notice that some people biting, they bite one place more. Some people bite another place more. Some people bite both sides better. Some people side there no teeth, then they bite frown. As you all get older, I'm on my way. Sooner or later, we got no teeth that time. You see, hard to bite already. But that time, you still need to be mindful, You still bite. But now you notice that all the chewing is very different already. Yeah. Again, this one also my experience. At one time, I went for dental thing, remove the wisdom tooth. Then you cannot bite one side. Then you bite one side. Then you learn to feel, bite one side, bite. How is it like to feel? Yeah. So interesting. So during the retreat, this thing is good because you begin to discover, do things naturally, bite it naturally, eat naturally, not too fast, not too slow, but then you keep your attention there. Once you keep your attention there, it begins to show you a lot more things that you don't normally do. We don't normally see it when uh, we in our everyday life. Some people also feels, even like in their walking also, in their walking, when they come to retreat, then only they realize that one of their leg is longer than the other leg. So when the walking time, that's slightly different. How could they feel that? Because again, here, vipassana. The vipassana begin to notice that, hey, but the thing is that when we notice these type of things happen, I mean, all you need to do is just keep on noticing it. Don't become too overwhelmed. See like that. Must go back to do massage or not. Must pull the leg longer. No, what? Don't do such thing. We learn to accept them as they are. When we accept them, we learn to notice them. Then they give you a lot more of further deeper understanding about your body, about your own mind. Yeah? If we begin to think about we should rectify the problem and all this type of thing, then you're already closing everything away, right? You close everything away. So these type of small little things are that things are not so clear to you in your everyday life. In the retreat, if you just make those efforts, things become more clearer and you see it perhaps at the first time. So when you see it the first time, this is how when the mind touch under it, the whole mind becomes alert. And that is where you begin to have interested into your object and paying attention to it. So the more that you pay attention to it, that means the mindfulness become more continuous. It become more continuous. So everything is going to tie together. So make sure that all this effort, all these small little things that we do, uh, it gives rise to the pleasurable interest, an interest to notice all these objects in a small way, which actually it really helps into the continuity of that mindfulness. All right. So, okay, we'll stop here for the night. Tomorrow we'll continue on this joy again. Okay. Okay. Share merits. Idang me bhavanang nibbanasa pachayo hotu. May my mental cultivation be a condition for the realization of nibbana. Imang no punya bhagang sabba satanang dema. We share these merits with our departed ones, with all beings and all the devas. Sabbe satta sukhi hontu anumodantu. May all beings be happy. May they rejoice in these merits. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.